Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Grassroots Racer. This week was the last round of not the last round, the latest round of the Victorian State Series down at Phillip Island, which we unfortunately didn't get to go to, but I watched all the coverage on Blendline. I stayed around for the Formula Vs and had a look, and even some past Grassroots racers did very well in their categories. Some didn't, unfortunately, had a few issues, but it's all good. And yeah, I just wanted to say how awesome is it that Oscar Piastri got on the podium on the weekend. It's great to see a rookie making such an impact in Formula One, especially coming from Australia. So that's now I've got that covered. Let's move into this week's episode of Grassroots Racer. So I've interviewed someone who races motocross and supercross. His name is Zac Watson. Hi Zac, thanks for joining me on the show. As I know you're pretty busy, so I appreciate you taking time to chat to me. I love to speak to people who are competing in different forms of motorsport, to what I do. And I'm the first to say I don't know a lot about motocross, so I'm normally on four wheels and do a bit of that. But to start off,
Yeah.
what what first got you into riding bikes, and how old were you when you first started competing?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be on here. I actually started when I was four. My dad and my uncle and pretty much whole family was into racing. They weren't as competitive as I am, but I think it's just in our blood. We've sort of all done it. So I started at a very young age and just really enjoyed it. Wanted to make a living out of it. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment.
Cool. So you started at 4 years old. What's sort of the stepping stones that you've taken to get to the point where you are now?
So for just obviously through the different age groups, through the different bike sizes, so 50, 65, 85, 125, 250, and now I'm on the 450. So I've always raced like nationally, so ever since I was on a 50. So I've always done that type of competition. But yeah, so I'm racing the Pro MX series at the moment, and that's sort of the pinnacle in Australian motocross at the moment.
Cool. So you mentioned there's a lot of different classes, and for those who don't know, what's the difference between a fifth like a 125, 150? Like, what are the difference?
So that's just the CCs, like the engine size. Obviously, the bigger CCs, the bigger the engine, the faster it is, the bigger the bike, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's really the only difference.
Yeah, cool. And what now I know a lot of people might sometimes get confused if they're not into the category, but what is the difference between motocross and supercross?
So motocross is like I explain it as in like motocross is a stretched out track, like it's about a minute and a half to a 2 minute lap time usually. A lot wider, not as intense as a supercross track. A supercross track's like all there in one, like it's all real tight. The jumps and the transitions and stuff are real small. All the jumps are big, the transitions between the jumps are pretty tight. So a supercross track's usually raced indoors in like a stadium, whereas a motocross track's usually outdoors on acreage.
So you see that the differences, and do you race both currently?
Last year I did both. This year I raced the motocross, and I'm going to sit the supercross out this year. Just some other not commitments, just yeah, we're gonna sort of work towards having a really good motocross season next year.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So when you race motocross and supercross, or how old are you if you don't mind?
I am 19 at the moment.
Cool. So would you race sort of your age category and would they run the same CC for both sort of like motocross and supercross, or what sort of the, because obviously bigger track, smaller track, do you got to change the CC that you're running?
No, so the CC you ride, like so juniors, which is 4 to 16, is it's based on your age and your CC. Like obviously, I think 85s are anywhere from 9 to 16 years. Like, but then they got their separate classes in there, and then same as a 125, you like got to be 14, I think, to be on one of them, and it's 14 to 16. But once you turn 16, you actually go senior, and that's you either race the MX2 class or the MX1 class. And the MX2 class you can ride anywhere from a 122cc to a 250cc, but it's just an open age, so you can be as old as or as young. or 16 to as old as you want, and then the 450 class is that as well. So it's just an open age category.
And what bike are you currently running?
I'm currently racing a CRF 450 Honda.
Cool. And I know in the bike community, people get a bit picky on what brand of bikes they like. So do you stick with Honda? And is that why do you choose Honda over, say, Yamaha or anything else?
I really enjoy the Honda. When I first got on a 450, I was a pretty little kid on a big bike, so really enjoyed how they turned and how they handled. I've gotten a bit bigger now, but I still really enjoyed it. It's just an awesome bike to ride. So at the moment, my favorite's got to be the Honda. I really enjoy riding it, but I mean they're all awesome at the moment. So
Yeah, cool. So what's your favorite bike or dream bike to ever own?
um probably the factory HRC 450 that you'd see Chase Sexton or Jet Lawrence racing. That's a pretty cool bike. I'd definitely like to ride one of them one day.
Yeah, cool. And obviously, growing up, you would have to have some sort of hero or someone you looked up to. Is there anyone famous in that sort of in the motorbikes that you've really looked up to and aspire to be like in the future?
Oh yeah, definitely. I always looked up to Ryan Dungey. He raced in the Pro Motocross and AMA Supercross in America. He was always sort of the guy I wanted to be. So probably him.
And why would you pick him? What makes him sort of stand out to other people? And yeah, why would you like to be like him?
He's always there. He's always on the block, like first, second, or third. I think his work ethic and just the way he sort of grinded his whole career is just, oh, it's really cool. So yeah.
Yeah. And do you race mainly in Australia or have you been overseas as well?
At the moment in Australia, I went to America for a month back in 2018. I raced the Minios over there, so it was pretty cool.
And when you race on different circuits across Australia, can the surface, or even in America, can the surfaces be different from track to track, as in dirt, mud, clay? What sort of, yeah, depending on
Yeah,
where you are?
definitely. Yeah, we got a lot of variety, like hard pack stuff. Lots. There's a few sand tracks we have in the national circuit at the moment. Clay stuff. Yeah, it changes a fair bit. Nearly every track's different.
And how do you tune your bike to, like, yeah, could you explain the process of how you tune your bike to the different sort of like surfaces that you got?
Yeah, so we the hard pack we sort of mainly stays the same. The bike itself, the power, it all stays the same. We just tune the suspension a couple of clicks here and there. Usually for sand, we make it a little bit stiffer in the front, maybe rake it up a little bit just so it handles the big rolling bumps and stuff a bit better. But other than that, that's really all we change. Oh,
Yeah,
and different tires. So hard pack we use a knobby tire, and then sand we use a paddle tire.
yeah, cool. And what's sort of like the difference in tire? Can you get ones that have it's hard like a harder pattern or like what's the difference in looks between the tires?
Yeah, so we I think there's three different compounds for a knobby tire. You can get a hard, medium, or a soft, and it's a soft tire you usually ride on a hard pack track. It's got more bend in the knobs on the tire, and it allows you with more for more grip. And then the paddle's one compound, but it's because it's sand, it doesn't really matter.
Cool as. And when you go over the jumps, it obviously it would take a fair bit of physical work. So how do you go jumping over multiple in one sort of row, I guess?
Yeah, I think you just get used to it. Your body sort of just adapts to the movement over time. Yeah, usually when you first start riding, and like even I do a little bit of coaching. So when I'm working with the younger kids, you see their techniques not as good, or they'll once they land, their knees sort of collapse out from under them. They're just not strong enough yet. So I think just with time, everything gets better with time on a motorbike. So
That's a very valid point. And have you got any memorable wins or races that you've done through your career?
Yeah. So 2016, I think I was 12 on a 65. I won a Australian Junior Motocross Championship. 2018, I represented Australia at the World Junior Motocross Championships that were held in Horsham, Victoria. And then 2018 as well was when I went to America. So they're probably the three coolest things I've done.
Cool. And what's sort of your most memorable story from the racetrack? Something that's a bit funny and something you don't really you won't ever forget.
Um, Probably my win, my Australian title. My parents told me I had to get fifth in the last race, so I went out there, whole shot the race. I was leading and went down. Ended up back in probably 11th or 12th or something. So I fought all the way back up to sixth. And one of my good mates actually was in fifth, and he crashed out, and I ended up fifth. But once I crossed the line, I was actually devastated for him that he crashed out. So I didn't even care that I won. I was more like upset for him. I was like, no, I only won because he crashed out and all that. But then I found out I only had to get top 15 in the race to win the championship. So it was yeah, it's probably one of the stories. Yeah, I don't have too many funny stories. I kind of take it a bit too serious now, but yeah.
That's fair enough. Um, but when do you sort of get back on the bike, like for you to know that he was in fifth, you wouldn't would you have actually known that? Did you count the bikes or because you can't really tell that stuff once you're on the circuit.
No, it's I did. You can see like across the track and stuff, and I kind of had a rough idea of where I was at. So I'd raced with the boys all week, sort of knew who and who wasn't quick. So
Yeah, that's fair enough. But what would you say the most challenging aspect of it all is, about motocross?
um, probably just having the motivation, I think, to do the what's needed off the bike, like all your gym stuff, your cardio stuff. It's a whole package. So I think the hardest part for any racer or someone that's coming through is just to like have that motivation to do it.
No, that's fair enough. Honestly, and talking about physical work, like when people say racing cars is dangerous, I always stick to that. I think racing on four wheels is dangerous, but I've got nothing on you guys in the motorbikes. Like those guys have had some horrific crashes, and have you personally ever experienced any bad crashes or injuries?
Injuries wise, no, not really. I dislocated my shoulder. That was about it. Um, 2 weeks before the world title, actually, I had another crash. And I got ran over and passed out. And that's really the only scares I've had. But I've seen a lot of crashes, and we had a young fella pass away at the start of this year at the first round of pro motocross, which was it was quite sad. We the whole motocross community sort of got behind it, but yeah, that was yeah. We've seen some pretty bad stuff.
Yeah. Well, may he rest in peace. And it's motorsport is always dangerous. There's always a risk that comes with it. But like I was saying, you step in a car and you go out there. The worst accident I've ever had, I got a few stitches. You know what I mean? But I've seen like most motocross guys are breaking their hands, breaking stuff all every week or something. So it can get pretty bad when you guys do it. And obviously you wouldn't think about that, would you? You just sort of go out there, just try your best.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't even come into my mind when I'm racing. Like you definitely you can't go out there on the back foot. You can't go out there thinking, oh, what if I crash? Because like
Mm,
that's sort of when you should be hanging the boots up
yeah.
because it's not the right mindset to be in.
Yeah. But what protective gear do you guys wear? So obviously you got your helmet, suit, gloves, and boots. But is there anything else that you guys wear to sort of protect you from stuff that can happen?
Yeah, so we wear knee braces. They pretty much just stop your knee from like hyperextending and stuff. We wear a few people wear elbow guards. Personally, I don't. I just feel a bit freer on the bike, and then we wear chest protectors and that, so they cover your chest and your back. Like a lot of them have like spine protection sort of thing. But yeah, that's about it. Oh, and goggles.
Yeah.
So
I know in MotoGP on the circuit that they've got like airbags in their suit. Does anyone you know of it run anything like that?
No, not in motocross. I think in motocross, it's you need a little bit more movement than on the GP bike. Like you see them in
Yeah,
those leather suits, they look pretty stiff when they're walking around. But yeah,
that's fair enough. You did mention earlier that you do a bit of coaching as well. So, you know, what's involved with that? And well, you did mention a little bit before, but yeah, do you want to go into a bit of detail about what the coaching's all about?
yeah. So it's I just enjoy racing, enjoy everything to do with motocross. So actually, I've moved away from home now, but back up at home, I got a lot of followers and a lot of young fellas that I suppose look up to me. So it's just really cool to help them out, just running through like the basic stuff, just technique, all that sort of stuff, making them safer on the bike, and then once they get that down pat, moving into the consistency of the laps, the longer motos, working on just adding more intensity to the track, like more speed and stuff like that. So
And is that sort of stuff there? That's what you like to do when you help out riders. You know, in a way, giving back. Did anyone coach you when you were well, other than your dad? Did anyone else coach you when you were growing up and started out motocross?
yeah, so I dad did a lot with me. There's a guy up in Townsville. His name's Scott Roots. He's an MQ official, so he's been in motocross his whole life. But he did a lot of time with me. He had a track up there where I used to train. Um, did little bits with a lot of other coaches, just like random boot camps and stuff, just around the country. Sort of more just getting onto the tracks and stuff. Um, I did a little bit over at MTF in America. It's a big training facility over there. I did that for probably 2 weeks when I was over there, and then for the last 2 years, I've been living in the sunny coast training with Ford Dale. He's a ex-pro, used to win the series that we're competing in at the moment. So they're my main, I suppose, coaches that have helped me along the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you do a lot with young people getting into motorsports. So, what advice would you give to someone who was looking into motocross or even motorsport themselves?
Probably just having a good go at it. Definitely. Don't half-ass it. It's a sport. It'll bite you in the back. But as long as you're like you got a good technique, you work on your technique, listen to your parents. That always comes in handy. But I think for a young fella that's starting, just work on standing up. They a lot of the kids that I coach struggle with it a little bit, like because the tracks up there are a lot smoother compared to down here. But yeah, definitely being able to stand up on the bike's a big thing.
So, would you say sort of your first baby steps to getting on the bike and getting really used to it is just taking your time, taking it bit by bit, slowly working up? Like, do you say how long does it normally take for someone to get on the bike for the first time and get comfortable with all the bumps and then get themselves up to speed?
Oh, it takes years of practice.
Yeah,
Really, it's definitely baby steps. It's a little bit so for beginners to like see improvement in beginners, you notice it pretty drastically because they have started from nothing. But no, it definitely takes a long time to master all of it. I'm still like my coach at the moment. We still work on the basic stuff just to like make it perfect. So, and I've been racing for I think this is my 15th year racing, so it takes a while.
yeah. No, that's pretty good. Um, and obviously to keep the passion for that long is it's pretty incredible because some people, once they get bit by the racing bug, they don't stop. So it's one of them things.
Yeah, definitely. It's yeah, I think once you're in it, you're in it sort of thing. It's you can go and you retire, you give professional racing up or anything. You seem to find yourself back at the local club racing anyway. So
Yeah. No, that's definitely true. And what would be your ultimate goal in motorsports?
it would have to be making it to the big stage in America, probably pro motocross or more supercross. I want to sort of focus on the supercross in the coming years. it's growing more than the motocross side of things. So I think an AMA Supercross title would probably top that list.
Yeah. No, that'd be awesome. And do you know of any Australians who are currently racing over there?
Yeah, so we've actually got a fair few Aussies. We've got the Lawrence brothers, so Jet and Hunter. We've got a couple young fellas over there, Tommy Woods, Heath Fisher. They're all giving it a good crack. In America, I got some family friends, the Callows. They moved over when they were 13 or 14 years old, and they live over there full time. So we produce a fair bit of talent over here, actually, compared like that do travel overseas and do really well. So no, they're well, two of the brothers, actually, the two Lawrences this year have clean swept the sort of the titles. So it's really cool to see.
That's pretty good for some Australian blokes. So,
Yeah,
you got to appreciate the hard work there. Would you say the States have a lot smoother ground? Like, can you definitely tell the difference once you go over there?
yeah. It's not so much smoother. I think the backing behind motocross in America is a lot bigger. Like, obviously, a lot more people, a lot more money going into it. The tracks over there are a lot bigger, also, like wider, bigger jumps, usually deeper and softer grounds. Like, so we get more like rougher bumps and bigger ruts and stuff like that. So it's a bit more challenging over there than it is here, but ideally it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And when you go off racing, do you have a team or crew that supports you and helps you out?
Yeah, so at the moment I got Moto One motorcycles. They're from the sunny coast. Honda Australia, they help me out a fair bit. Fly Racing. I've got like MP suspension, Gurn boots. So we've got a lot of people that are on my program at the moment that are just unbelievably helpful. And they sort of make it all happen. A few private sponsors as well that jumped on board and just want to help. So
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And how are you going this year? And what's the goal for the rest of the year?
the rest of the year, probably just head down, ass up. Work on making next year's motocross season awesome. So it'll probably just be training from here on out. I got a few local races I'll probably try and do back up in Townsville, but as I said earlier, I'll sit the Supercross season out this year and just focus on motocross. So
Cool. Well, thank you so much for speaking to me tonight, Zach. It's been great to hear about your journey so far, and good luck for the rest of the year. And remember, everyone, if you're on two wheels or four wheels, remember to drive fast and take chances, safely, of course. Thank you so much, Zach. I appreciate you having me.
all good. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Thank you.